So as we go through modernization, as we go through scale, making sure that our architectural principles help us support where we're trying to go, and making sure we're drawing blueprints before we build skyscrapers.
Welcome to Technovation. I'm your host, Peter High. My guest today is Kirk Ball. Kirk is the Chief Information Officer of Worldpay, a payments technology and solutions company with capabilities to power omni-commerce across the globe and earn roughly $5 billion according to its most recently reported annual figures. Kirk has been in his role since June of 2024, and since then had been preparing the company to go public. Instead, it was recently announced that Global Payments would acquire the company. The transaction is expected to close in the first half of 2026 following regulatory approvals. Kirk's a prior CIO at ANSR, at Giant Eagle, and at the Christ Hospital Health Network, and he's a former Chief Technology Officer at Kroger. And now for a word from our partner, Airia. There's a reason most enterprise AI initiatives never make it to production. You can't find a platform that's both powerful and secure enough. The result? AI budgets burn with zero business impact, but not anymore. Airia is the enterprise AI platform that delivers speed without compromise. Unlike other platforms that force you to choose between fast deployment or secure operations, Airia brings speed and security together. Launch AI quickly without cutting corners on compliance, scale rapidly without sacrificing governance, move at the speed of business without moving past your security requirements. Fortune 500 companies across finance, healthcare, retail, legal, and more choose Airia because they deliver what seemed impossible. Enterprise AI that's fast enough to beat the competition and secure enough to protect your most sensitive data. Ready for AI at full speed with zero compromise? Visit Airia.com to see the platform in action. That's AIRIA.com. Simplify enterprise AI. And now on to the interview. Kirk, welcome back to Technovation. As always, it's great to speak with you.
Thanks, Peter. It's always good to see you, and look forward to our conversation today.
Likewise. Thank you so much for making time. Well, take a moment, if you would, to describe Worldpay's business as it stands today, at least.
Yeah, you described it well. We're a payment processor, literally around the world. We do business in 135 plus countries around the world. We do billions of transactions a day, and we are integral to the proper functioning of the financial system. So we have been around in various iterations and forms for a long time, spun out of Fifth Third. And now we're joining forces, being acquired, as you mentioned, by Global Payments, who's a great company. And they do very similar work. So we're looking to, I believe, Global Payments is number 4 in the industry, and we're number 3. And certainly we're going to, us coming together is going to be a pretty powerful combination of capabilities. So really looking forward to that.
Fascinating. It should be noted, Kirk, that you'd retired from full-time operational roles when Worldpay found you. And I wonder what attracted you to come out of retirement to take on this latest CIO post of yours?
I have worked at private companies and I have worked at public companies. I had never worked at a private company that had desires to go public. And that was one of the intriguing things that about the Worldpay opportunity. That we had original desires to go public at some point in our journey, and that changed as we, I assume, got the overture from Global Payments, and our leaders and their leaders were able to work things out, and which I think it's a great option as well, and so that's the direction we're going. But that's why I came out of retirement. I wanted to go through that experience of helping to take a company public.
Makes sense. And talk a bit about this CIO role. You've had several of them, certainly, and I'm sure each of them had different purviews and areas of responsibility, some commonality, no doubt, as well. Talk a bit about your responsibilities in this role.
Yeah, responsibilities in this role are for the technology platforms for Worldpay. Again, we have a high-performant, high transaction throughput, high batch processing at night as we start to move money between banks and merchants banks, and payer and credit card company banks. So it's a high performant real time and a high performant batch processing. We do, we're in a highly competitive market, a lot of work to continue to meet customer and exceed customer expectations, whether it be from an e-commerce perspective. We have large enterprise customers like a Kroger, et cetera. And we have many, many thousands of small businesses for which we do payment processing. So making sure that we're delivering solutions to meet all of those different types of enterprises' demands certainly provides us with a lot of opportunity for creating solutions that are architecturally or at least purpose built for particular types of businesses, but all have to work together. So very interesting business, and again, highly competitive.
I mentioned you joined the middle of last year, so just over a year ago, really, in the grand scheme of things, 15 months, maybe 16 months ago. And you've more than tripled the IT team during that time. I wonder if you could talk a little bit about, first of all, the roles that have been the ones that have been had the greatest needs to fill, the kinds of skill sets you've been looking for, and also just how you found such a vast quantity of people to join the team.
We currently, prior to the acquisition consummating and the new co being created, we are owned a certain percentage by a company out of Chicago, private equity company, GTCR, great company, and then FIS also has a percentage ownership in us. And so when we were thinking about going public, those were the entities that had been backing us and were going to help us prepare to go public. So we were in process of working to stand up our own capabilities while we had temporary service agreements in place with FIS. So we were building teams to take responsibility on for various sets of technical capability, whether it be running data centers, running cloud operations, running servers, desktop engineering, just everything you can think of, database, middleware, all of those things, application delivery, et cetera. And we had to take a core group of folks that came from FIS that came with Worldpay as it spun out of FIS. And then we had to prepare as those temporary service agreements over time would come to an end. We had to prepare to stand up that capability and take that function on ourselves. So that certainly led to a rapid increase in the hiring, the number of people that we hired, and building a culture and building an organization that was ready to stand on its own and take the company public. So it was, at the same time we're trying to build capability, we're also trying to build the teams that will help us stand up that capability and catch that from, the company that we were spinning out from. So it was a it's been a very, very awesome journey. Kind of one that was a little bit unique compared to some of the stuff I've done in the past, where I've typically been with the companies that did the acquiring, or did weren't necessarily standing up from scratch, which we kind of did. So it was really, really interesting and exciting time, and it's been very, very hectic, but very, very rewarding to, in essence, reinvigorate the company and have it carve out of another great company and build a culture, build a team, and yet at the same time keep everything running as it needs to run. So, my arrival at Worldpay does speak to the power of the network. So I have a gentleman that I've worked with a number of years in my various roles that owns a technology company in Cincinnati. The CEO of Worldpay reached out to him and said, I'm looking for a CIO that's in town, looking for a good CIO. And he said, I've got just a guy. I was consulting at the time, had retired from Giant Eagle, and that is how I got connected to Worldpay through the network. And honestly, my last four opportunities have been through my network. So it just speaks to the power of the network. So certainly I know all your folks that listen to your awesome podcasts and your presenting and your talks that you give. I'm sure they all know the power of the network, but I'm living proof of that. It's just incredibly invaluable. As you go throughout your life as a CIO or C-level executive in the technology space, the network is phenomenal.
They were great, and important points to underscore there, certainly. Fascinating to hear you say that. I want to go back to a point you raised in the middle of your answer, which was one of culture. And I know that, across your roles, you've been very sensitive to it. In this case, you were building one, as you alluded to, and building one, a global team as well. How do you think about building that culture, and what are some of the attributes that you hope to imbue this growing organization with?
Yeah, I think a couple of things proved very beneficial as we were seeking to build our culture. One, it's having the folks that came from FIS and the folks that we were hiring help us participate in setting and defining what we wanted our culture to be, as opposed to me saying this is what we want our culture to be in the technology space. Um, what do you think the culture should be? What kind of place do you enjoy working at? What gets you excited about the work that you do and being part of the team and the kind of team that you want to be a part of? So one was really engaging the organization and helping us define what we wanted to go in from a cultural direction perspective. The second thing was being incredibly transparent and continually working and communicating and connecting with the teams and the people on the team, and giving them status updates. How are we progressing? How are our hiring numbers coming? What are our successes? What are the things that we need to do better? And engaging them actively in the process of the culture creation and tracking the progress so that people could see and feel the change, and a lot of communication and a lot of transparency, and a lot of opportunity for input. And that seemed to really galvanize the folks that had some legacy with the company and those folks that we were bringing on board. I think it helped us meld together pretty quickly into a more comprehensive, cohesive team, really understanding our direction and the objectives we were trying to accomplish.
Also, given the fact you were standing up this organization, it gave you a real reason to think a lot about the modernization of the practices of the organization. And I wonder, as you thought about modernizing and developing a technology that would serve the organization for years to come, what were some of the areas that you prioritized first among those?
Well, we continue to modernize and accelerate our journey to cloud in partnership with many folks in our application delivery organization. We have developed and implemented an artificial intelligence capability for general use around our enterprise and also for some specific uses. We have worked to modernize some of the investments in our platforms, whether from a software perspective or from a technology perspective, hardening and making more robust our enterprise architecture, discipline, and capability. So as we go through modernization, as we go through scale, making sure that our architectural principles help us support where we're trying to go, and making sure we're drawing blueprints before we build skyscrapers. And that was very helpful because that kind of creates a common vision and a common direction so that the folks that do the foundation, the folks that do the roofing, the folks that do the framing, they all know what part they play in creating that final skyscraper, right? And it really creates a picture and an image that everybody can rally around and know what part they play.
What can you tell us about the planning from an integration perspective? I recognize there's still regulatory approval before this is fully official, but wondering what sorts of steps you're implementing at present with the goal, at least, of this going forward.
Yeah, certainly we're working with our partners at Global Payments, sometimes at an arm's distance because of regulatory compliance needs. But certainly trying to lay out what are the things that we need to have from a functional capability perspective or technical capability perspective to allow the companies to come together on day one. So whether it's things like collaboration, whether it's things like common reporting, et cetera. So we're trying to lay out things from a day one perspective and then a year one and then a year three perspective. So trying to put things, so we're not trying to boil the ocean all at once, but making sure we're supporting the needs of the enterprise as the new code gets created, and then working to lay out a path for us to take the journey to drive even greater integration.
As we've noted a couple of times, Kirk, you joined the organization in the anticipation of going public. Obviously, so much of the planning in the early stages were based upon an independent entity facing the public markets and the like. Is there anything that the organization did that you did under your leadership that you might have done that have been sort of advantages for that point of view, even in light of now it being an integration as part of an acquisition? I can only imagine that had you joined with the acquisition in mind, there perhaps would have been a different plan. I wonder what advantages there are in standing up organization to be independent now facing integration. Anything come to mind?
Yeah, I would say, Peter, look, I think all the things that we've done, whether it's tech modernization, whether it's maturing our approach to taking a journey to the cloud, whether it's the improvement in the way that we do our ITSM practices and processes, continued maturity from a cybersecurity perspective. I think all of those things would be consistent regardless of which approach that we would take. And I think all the work that we've done on our journey as we were focused on going public, they all are applicable to the things that we are going to be focusing on as it relates to being acquired. I think certainly as we get in more deeper into the details of integration planning, certainly I think, you'll start to get into some rationalization about what might be the best technology to do one thing versus another, that where we have different technology platforms for different things. We'll figure all that out. But everything that we've done, I think, has significantly helped modernize our capabilities from a Worldpay perspective that I'm sure made us probably an attractive opportunity for global payments.
Yeah, it's a very good point you make. I want to return also to a different point you made earlier, and that is around introducing artificial intelligence capabilities to a grander scale in recent months. I know that you've done so in a large part by curating a number of AI solutions, both from large players as well as venture-backed companies. And I wonder, how have you thought about the AI ecosystem that you've built, and what are some of the value propositions that excite you most?
Yeah, I think for us, it's been a combination of leveraging commercial off the shelf solutions that we have been able to take advantage of AI capabilities that they are inherent into that application platform, like a ServiceNow, and leveraging that capability to offer services to our internal team members to help accelerate the way that they work. In addition, we've also done some proprietary creation of artificial intelligence under the leadership of our CTO. That really is a kind of a custom built artificial intelligence capability that really helps curate content that's germane to WorldPay, and to use that to help people accelerate their ability to discover information about the WorldPay ecosystem. And also, I think at some point in the near future to help better serve our customers. So we've kind of done it both ways, and not just settled on one way to do it, whether it's leveraging artificial intelligence capabilities from a purchase solution or building our own. It's been a combination of both.
Interesting. And any particular use cases that have you most excited?
Yeah, certainly. I think the use cases that we have built with some of our ServiceNow capability have been really interesting in that creating a desktop based upon ServiceNow that curates content and delivers content over time based upon your job profile, your job responsibilities, and what content you typically search and go retrieve. And then it constantly curates and helps you get to the information quicker without you even asking over time, as it learns your predispositions to how your job works and what information you need. That's one that's eliminating a lot of friction for our team members as they go to work. And then there's a couple that really excite me as far as work that we're doing with our customers, but I'm going to keep those kind of confidential for now. But I am really excited about those as well.
Excellent. What other trends, as you look to the future, Kirk, have you particularly excited, even beyond the ones we've already noted?
Yeah, I do think continued utilization of artificial intelligence and really continuing to identify and prioritize the right opportunities to apply artificial intelligence to. I do think there still are a number of opportunities within many enterprises where artificial intelligence can be applied, and I think it's trying to figure out what are the right priority order in which to go attack those opportunities, whether it be to the benefit of the customer, benefit of team members, and hopefully, I think we've worked to try and find that balance to apply solutions, AI-based solutions, to serve both sets of constituents. Look, I think something that's going to be fascinating for me is quantum compute. I pay a lot of attention to it. I think it has a chance to be incredibly disruptive. Understanding opportunities and use cases and trying to better understand the use cases that quantum compute is going to enable. Certainly, I think a lot in the cybersecurity space, but I also think a lot in the algorithmic space, and I think a lot in the financial space from everything that I read and I see. And I also I'm really interested to see how we can take AI not just from the interface of a laptop, but really putting AI at the edge and anywhere that you happen to be, whether it be on a personal device, in your car. How does AI get pushed to the edge to help you and decrease that cycle time from the time you think of an answer or a need for something to the time it takes for that to be delivered? And I think the more that we can push AI to the edge, I think the quicker that you can get the answers that you need in the time frame within the context of the given situation that you're in, right? So those are a couple of things I think that are really, really interesting to me, and I'm really intrigued. But there are so many things that are going on that it's the pace continues to accelerate. So I try to leverage a lot of my friends that keep up with things too. It's a lot for one person to try and keep up to speed on everything. So I leverage my network to help me keep up to speed on a lot of stuff, and teammates that I work with.
The power of the network again.
Yeah, that's right.
Discord. I would ask you in closing, Kirk, anything that you've recently read, watched, and or listened to that you would recommend to other people? What comes to mind?
I read a book a while ago that I think creates it's an interesting topic to think about. It's called Rise of the Robots and the Prospect of a Jobless Future. And it goes to this, I'm not sure anybody really knows the final answer. You hear a lot of people talking about AI and robotics taking people's jobs. And this extrapolates on that, and it goes into hypotheticals about what does that mean from a societal impact perspective. And I think, our opportunity is to make sure that we figure out how to make AI complementary and to work alongside of humans to accelerate our productivity, as opposed to strictly focusing on replacing humans. Because I do think it has potentially large, long impact societal impacts. If you think about how many folks drive a truck or how many folks drive taxis, if eventually all those folks do get put out of a job, what are they going to do? And not that they can't be retooled, reskilled. They're very sharp people, but we need to make sure that we're paying attention as a country, I think, and as a society on making sure that we continue to skill people as they go along. I heard a recent podcast by Eric Schmidt, the former CEO of Google. His supposition was, and every time in history where there's been a significant technological advance, yes, there were certain types of jobs that were eliminated, but those technological advances created many more different types of jobs. And the overall employment rate and number of jobs that were created grew versus what the previous number of jobs had been. So I just think it's really important from a societal perspective. And that book was really intriguing to really help us understand and think about this dilemma of how do we continue to accelerate people's skill sets and thinking and training so that they can operate in whatever the future holds.
Fantastic. Great suggestions, Kirk, and great insights across the board. Really appreciate you sharing a bit about your experience, especially across the past year with Worldpay, some of the exciting things to come, and look forward to remaining abreast of continued progress as this merger comes together. But it's great to speak with you as always, Kirk. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's great to see you again, Peter.